Hi, I'm your host, Brad Riddle. I've spent 4 decades holding on to a shocking amount of useless sports knowledge, and this podcast is where I let it all out. If you love sports and sports history, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. Go to grumpybuck.com, that's GRUMPYBUCK, like the deer.com, and you'll see Sports Wax Podcast in the menu. Go to the podcast page, enter your email, and you're on the list. It's super easy. This week marks the anniversary of one of the most stunning upsets in sports history. Here's an episode that shares the backstory. I hope you enjoy.
And now up the ramp, the actual cauldron is atop that trellis-like structure.
This is July 19th, 1996. The opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Atlanta. The stadium's packed, athletes from around the world cover the field, camera bulbs are flashing like crazy, and boxing's light heavyweight gold medalist from the 1960 Rome Olympics is about to light the flame.
Once the most dynamic figure in sports, a gregarious man, now trapped inside that mask created by Parkinson's syndrome. So in one sense a poignant figure, but look at him. Still a great presence. Still exuding nobility and stature. And the response he evokes is part affection, part excitement, but especially respect. What a moment.
His name is Muhammad Ali, and he's the greatest of all time. Some individual athletes are seemingly bred for big things. There's a sense of inevitability as they rise through the amateur ranks and turn professional. Winning championships and titles almost feels preordained. But that's not Muhammad Ali. 61 years ago this week, he stepped into a half-empty convention hall for his first shot at the heavyweight title. Everyone there, everyone watching on TV, everyone around the world thought he would get destroyed that night. That he'd become a line item in history, another contender forgotten. But history's full of surprises. And there are few surprises in sports history bigger than the one that unfolded that balmy February night in Miami Beach. This is Sports Wax, a weekly documentary where we explore sports stories from yesteryear. Memories of players, coaches, and games that take us back in time. Welcome to episode 4, a shocking upset on South Beach.
Such a Roman name as that.
Well, as I understand, I'm Cassius Marcellus Clay VI, and my great-great-grandfather was a Kentucky slave, and he was
Before
named after
Muhammad
someone
Ali
from
became the
Kentucky.
greatest of all time, he was a kid from Louisville named Cassius Clay, whose bike was stolen. He told the police he was going to whoop whoever took his bike. The police told him he'd better learn how to box, and so he did. This is Cassius Clay giving an interview at the Olympics where he wins gold. He's telling the story about the bike.
Take up boxing.
Well, I started about 6 years ago. My bicycle was stolen, and my cousin was a boxer. He wasn't too successful, but he boxed. And he told me that he would train me if I ever catch the guy that, you know how kids think, if I ever caught the guy that stole my bicycle, well, I would know how to fight. You know, I could.
When he gets home, he turns pro. And the boxing world quickly realizes that Cassius Clay is a winner.
Young Olympic gold medal winner. He did not disappoint anyone. Supremely confident, young Clay boxed smartly, easily winning his professional debut.
And
with a
he's
flashy
also a talker. He likes sparring with the press. He loves to recite poems about his opponents. And he's good at predicting the round when he'll knock them out. Things are going pretty good for Cassius Clay until 1963.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's standing room only at Madison Square Garden in New York City. For once again, the famous landmark has become the mecca of boxing. There is one young man who has made this all possible. He is a 21-year-old heavyweight from Louisville, Kentucky, named Cassius Marcellus Clay.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden in New York City. It's March 13th, 1963. Cassius Clay is now the number 2 contender for the heavyweight title. He's fighting number 3, Doug Jones. Clay has predicted a 4th round knockout, but things aren't going as planned. Jones staggers Clay with a punch in the first round. The crowd starts booing Clay after the fourth round, the round he predicted for a knockout. Just listen to this.
15 seconds to go. Fans are probably booing about the prediction.
After the fight, the referee announces Clay as the winner by unanimous decision, and the crowd boos even louder. This doesn't sound like a fighter on the path to greatness.
They score it this way. 5-4, 1 even, favor of Clay.
Clay's next fight is June 1963 at Wembley Stadium in London. Henry Cooper knocks Clay to the canvas in the fourth round.
The bell has sounded, and he's up at about 3, Clay. That was the end of the fourth round, and he hit him about 2 seconds before the end of the round with a left hook.
Clay manages to recover, and a cut over Cooper's eyes ends the bout in the fifth round. Clay is now undefeated at 19-0. He's the #1 contender for the heavyweight title, but he's not exactly destroying his opponents. The guy who's doing that? It's Sonny Liston, the champ.
Sonny Liston moves out to face the big chance of his 28 years of a turbulent life.
Everyone's terrified of Sonny Liston. He learned how to box while in prison for armed robbery. He's only 6'1", but he's got an astonishing 84-inch reach. There are rumors he's connected to the mob, and he's one of the most powerful punchers in history. This is Liston's first title bout, Chicago's Comiskey Park in 1961, and he's just pounding Floyd Patterson, the heavyweight champ at the time. The fight's over in just 2 minutes, 6 seconds. There's a rematch 10 months later, but it's the same result. Liston knocks out Patterson in just 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Liston's 35-1, the undisputed heavyweight champion, and Cassius Clay is up next on his list. Nobody's giving Clay a shot. Liston even watched Clay's fight against Doug Jones at Madison Square Garden, the one where the crowd booed afterward. "If I fight that guy," Liston said of Clay, "I'll get locked up for murder." The fight gets scheduled anyway for February 1964 in Miami Beach. This isn't the case anymore, but everyone knew who the heavyweight champ was in the 1960s and earlier. Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, they were some of the most famous people in the world when they wore the title belt. And heavyweight title bouts were must-watch TV, must-listen radio. That's definitely the case in February 1964. There's no such thing as the Super Bowl yet. Only 25 teams make the NCAA basketball tournament, which isn't called March Madness yet. The NBA is just a fledgling league fighting for attention. And Major League Baseball doesn't start until mid-April. In February 1964, the Beatles' appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, what you're listening to right now, is the biggest thing on TV. After The Ed Sullivan Show, the Beatles tour up and down the East Coast. In Miami, they stop by the legendary 5th Street Gym, where Cassius Clay is training hard for his upcoming fight with Sonny Liston. It's February 18th, 1964, just a week until the title bout. This is audio from that day. Clay is jumping rope, working the speed bag, and sparring. He looks locked in until his photo op with the Beatles.
Life magazine, the biggest magazine in the world. They want my pretty face on.
He playfully picks up Ringo. He pretends to fight all 4 of them at the same time. The Beatles lay on the ground, Clay glowering over them as if he's just knocked them all out. Clay's having fun, but he's definitely working hard. And he's still talking.
Other children will be with me. Cassius says that he is the greatest, and we all would like to see. Okay, darling, you may go, but come right home after the show.
He has this theory. The more angry that Sonny Liston gets, the easier he'll be to beat. Liston's nickname is the Big Bear, so Clay starts calling him the Big Ugly Bear. He talks about turning Liston into a bearskin rug for his living room. He takes a bus to Liston's house at 3 a.m. and starts shouting at Liston to come out so he can whoop him. He takes the same bus to Liston's gym in Florida to hurl insults at the champ. This is him reciting a poem for a reporter who's come by the Fifth Street gym. He's not reading a script. Clay has memorized this whole thing.
As predicted in 8. And as the people left the fight, you could hear them say, "This kid is a legend."
The press thinks Clay's crazy. They think he's doing all of this because he's scared. Some think he won't even show up for the fight.
Washington Post. Sonny Liston in a hurry, 2 rounds, 3 at most.
It's the night of the fight. Howard Cosell is on the radio call for ABC along with Les Keeter. He asks 46 journalists on hand to predict the winner. 43 pick Liston by a knockout. Just listen to this.
3 rounds because he's not only a great puncher, but he's one of the most rugged men I ever saw.
Jack Hand, Associated Press.
I think Liston will knock him out in the 3rd round. He says so, and I have to believe him.
Arthur Dowling, New York Times.
I can't see the fight lasting any longer than 3 rounds with Liston the winner.
John Carmichael, Chicago Daily News.
I'm going to tell you this thing. If the fight goes past 5 rounds, Clay will win it. That's the best I can do for you.
So you give Clay a chance?
I certainly do.
You may be the only one.
But there are a few things these journalists don't know. First, Liston's older than everyone thinks. He's listed as 32, but he's actually 34. Liston's also been taking cortisone shots for bursitis in his shoulders. His left shoulder is in serious pain. And Liston's confident. I mean, really confident. He expects to beat Clay in the first round or 2, so he's not training that hard. And he's drinking a lot of beer and eating a lot of hot dogs. Seriously.
All right, Cassius Clay has just come into the ring. He's wearing white trunks with red stripes down the side. He's jumping up and down, hasn't begun the shadow box yet. And I must say to Jimmy Brown, who's been through some of the big ones in another sport, that the kid does look cool.
Cosell is chatting with NFL football star Jim Brown when Cassius Clay enters the half-full convention hall. There are lots of celebrities, but still plenty of tickets available. In fact, the promoter's going to lose $300,000 on this fight. Everyone expects this to be a run-of-the-mill, humdrum title bout between the indestructible champ who outclasses the contender.
Heavyweight championship of the world, and it goes past the first round, there will be surprises already. Liston bobbing and weaving, Clay has been bouncing up and down, and here they come.
Now it's finally time for the fight, and even the announcers are pessimistic about Clay's chances. Everyone still expects a massacre, but that narrative shifts early in the first round. Liston's lunging at Clay with his long arms, but he can't touch him. Clay just slightly moves his head to avoid the blows. Liston's working hard, he's swinging and missing a ton, and Clay's barely thrown a punch. He's barely thrown a punch, that is, until about halfway through round 1, when Clay completely unleashes.
Clay with a left and a right attack, a left and a right and another left and a right by Clay. And Liston, blink, here's Liston hit with a right to the ear. Clay with a left and a right, look out Cassius, he's throwing left hand. And now Liston throws the left to the body. And it was Cassius Clay with a half a dozen assorted blows.
When the bell finally rings, the fighters and referee don't even hear it. And the round continues for 20 seconds longer than it should.
And a left to the nose by Clay. They keep fighting after the bell. And Liston with the left and Liston back Clay into his corner. The bell is rung and they keep on fighting.
Liston refuses to take his stool between rounds. And here's something to remember. Liston's won his last 3 fights by knockout in the first round. This is already his longest bout in almost 3 years. In his corner, Clay's looking at the crowd with his mouth wide open as if he's yawning. Clay starts changing minds in round 1, but it's round 3 when he really silences his doubters.
A left and a right and another right hand thrown by Clay. Clay misses 2 left and then lands a left and a right and hurts Liston. A right by Clay, Liston toppled. A left by Clay, he has Liston's eye cut open. Liston bleeding under both eyes, and now Liston moves in. We may be in the upset of the century. A left by Clay, a left and a right, and Liston almost toppled. A left by Clay, another left by Clay. Liston misses a wild left. Liston's eye badly cut. He shoots a
Everyone thinks Liston's invincible, but Clay cuts him under his left eye with a barrage of blows. Liston's corner works on his cuts between rounds. And what happens next is controversial to this day. Clay's eyes start stinging and burning near the end of the 4th round. He's blinking like crazy when he takes his stool. He tells Angelo Dundee, his trainer, to cut his gloves off. Clay's close to being disqualified for not coming out to fight for the 5th round. Dundee pushes him into the ring with one word of advice: run. Cosell is the first to notice there's a problem.
Something's the matter with Cassius Clay. Something is the matter with Cassius Clay. As we were getting ready to start the 4th round, he is having trouble with his eyes. The bell sounds for the 5th round correction, and he is having trouble with his eyes.
One of his trainers yelled there's something in Liston's gloves. Clay is blinking, said he can't see. Here's Liston crouching, hitting to the body, and Clay keeps blinking like he doesn't see Liston, and that will be fatal. Here's Liston throwing
It came out after the fight that 2 others who fought Sonny Liston had a similar burning sensation in their eyes. They suspected Liston's corner of putting a substance on his gloves or shoulders, but they couldn't prove it. In the 5th round, Clay can't see, which gives Sonny Liston a brief window of opportunity.
Clay backing away almost half-heartedly from Liston. Liston's eyes both chopped up, but he's leading the damage and throwing the damage now. It's Clay.
But he can't close it. By the end of the round, Clay's taunting Liston by giving him little rabbit punches on the head and pushing his glove into his nose. In other words, he's poking the bear.
And now, Liston is taunted by Clay's left, which he keeps pushing into his nose and blinding Liston so he can't see for the moment.
It's the 6th round when a confident, untouched Clay starts to feel inevitable.
And now he shoots a left to the ear and a short right chop and a left to the head by Clay. And the big question to everybody, what's the matter with Sonny Liston? It's all Clay at the moment, and he's not doing too much, but more than Liston. Liston ducks.
The bell rings, ending round 6. And no one knows it yet, but this fight is over. Liston takes his stool after the round. That's it, he tells his corner, and he spits out his mouthpiece. Again, Cosell's the first to notice, this time that the fight is over.
About had it coming into the 4th round. Now, wait a minute. Sonny Liston's not coming out. Sonny Liston is not coming out. He's out. The winner and the new heavyweight champion of the world is Cassius Clay. Last time going up into the ring.
And all hell breaks loose in the ring. Just listen to it.
Has not moved, nobody said a word, but Clay was the first to realize it, came running out of his corner, waving his arms, and now the march is on as Clay continues to climb all over the ring, waving his arms. Come on, I
am the greatest.
Cassius
Come
Clay,
here. I am the greatest.
World. Here's how
We're ready with Cassius.
I am the greatest.
Cassius, you're the king.
Sing like a beast. I'm the king of the world. I'm the truth.
Tell the truth, Cassius. Get that.
I have upset the world.
Cosell does his best to get a comment from Cassius Clay, but Clay is too busy talking to the crowd. In the aftermath, Cosell finds Liston, who says his bum left shoulder is what ended the fight.
My shoulder feel like it's broke. I don't know what's wrong with it.
When did it happen, Sonny?
In the 1st round, I was hit at him with a left hook and he blocked it with his arm.
Sonny, did he ever...
Everyone who showed up to the half-empty convention hall Miami Beach has just witnessed one of the most stunning upsets in sports history. Clay meets the press after his victory, and, fittingly, he refuses to answer questions until the journalists admit that he's the greatest.
All of you reporters made it hard on this one. Never write about me like that. Never make me 6-1. You just make me angry. Never make me no underdog. And never talk about who's going to stop me. Because ain't nobody going to stop me. Not a heavyweight in the world fast enough to stop me.
You might know some of the rest of the story. A few days later, Clay changes his name to Cassius X, and then later to Muhammad Ali. Ali beats Liston again in May 1965, this time in a controversial first-round knockout.
Knockdown, ladies and gentlemen, a right-hand shot. A right-hand shot on the chin.
There's a famous photo of this moment taken by Neil Leifer. You may have seen it. Ali's standing over Liston, snarling at him. What he's saying is, get up and fight. Nobody's going to believe this. There's rumors afterward that Liston took a dive. Ali is later stripped of his heavyweight title for refusing induction into military service. He's banned from boxing during his prime, but he comes back to win the heavyweight title again in 1974. Ali fights for the last time in December 1981. He's almost 40 years old when he retires. He passes away in 2016. If you're like me, you weren't alive to see Ali fight. Your most prominent memory of him might be this one, the 1996 Olympic Games, when the aging boxer, robbed of his voice by Parkinson's disease, lights the flame.
Muhammad Ali, of course, an Olympian, as young Cassius Clay, gold medal boxer, 1960, the Games of Rome.
To become arguably the most famous person on this earth.
That's what makes it so fun to go back and listen to the radio broadcast from February 1964. To imagine what it must have been like to hear this loud 8-1 underdog take down the champion, shock the world, and morph into greatness in front of the world's eyes and ears. Sports history is full of surprises, indeed.
Clay misses two left and then lands a left and a right and hurts Liston. A right by Clay, Liston topples. A left by Clay, he has Liston's eye cut open. Liston bleeding under both eyes, and now Liston moves in. We may be in the upset of the century. A left by Clay, a left and a right, and Liston almost topples. A left by Clay, another left by Clay. Liston misses a wild left. Liston's eye badly cut. He shoots a light left, gets Clay against the ropes. Clay ducks and
Sports Wax is a documentary series brought to you by GrumpyBuck.com, GrumpyBuck.com. Subscribe to get new episodes that share a sports memory with a heavy dose of nostalgia each week.
I wanna